族は肉で宴をやるけど。Brace 50,000.
Wow. Hey, much love and respect. Pura vida, mi gente. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you guys making the time to be here. And this is gonna be a quick video, and it's very to the point because this treaty is very to the point. That's the whole point of this. I'm gonna be very clear. I'm gonna let you know. I'm gonna read the whole treaty, right? And then we're gonna go talk to ChatGPT, and then we're gonna grab the info, and from there proceed. Not based on any following or biases or what you think somebody told you it means. Let's read it ourselves, get the whole context behind this. Who did it benefit? Who it didn't benefit? Let's get to the specifics and facts. Again, no emotions. So don't come here. I'm telling you right now, be educated, be respectful, be a grown-up about it. A lot of you say, oh, I want to debate. You will. There's no debating something I can read and interpret on my own. You understand? Not what you want me to think about it in your biased way without doing the proper research or having proper context. Okay, so I'm only doing this because I get a lot of people in the comments always kind of like, it's not just one person, a lot of people in the comments kind of throughout the years, not recently or, but yeah, still recently. But a lot of people throughout the years, oh, they got nothing else to say to me about their opinion of Mr. Drew Ali and whatever, the whole movement and everything, right? The whole following, the indoctrination, the doctrine, the more science doctrine, really, right? I'm not like really afraid to speak because if you're emotional about the history that I speak of, then you're emotionally attached to something, right? And history, even though we all kind of bias and we kind of push and investigate things that we're more interested in ourselves personally, I try to at least show context and sources and stuff for what I'm supposedly believing, right? Or my take on it, as you guys say, my take. What's your take on it? Your claims. They call it claims. They say it's a take. It says it's a point of view. When I'm showing primary sources in genealogy, so it's not just a take. It's not just a point of view. It's not just a claim. Claims are what people say before. Growing up is what I heard. Claims. That's all I heard. Claim this. He claims this. Mr. Drew Ali claims this. Mr. Drew Ali says this. Mr. Drew Ali says this. All right. I'm just using that example because that's today's topic, right? We're not trying to go at people. You're part of that. Just try to have an open mind on what to say and show you, like, past the emotional part, right? The connection you have or your history, your cultural background, right? What others have already told you and you didn't really, it's just music to your ears. So you're just like, all right, cool. Yeah, I like that. I like how that sounds. Yeah. I like how that sounds. Yeah, I'll believe that. I'll believe that. All right. So what is the context behind, first of all, a lot of things to break down, right? So this happened when? 1780s, right? So what is going on in the 1780s? What's going on? You guys, let's do a thing. Let's see what do you guys know was going on in the 1780s? This is like a social experiment right now. This is I'm gonna prove a point. So what was going on in the 1780s, right? Not just with colonists and the corporation and with everybody. Is everybody doing good in the 1780s? Is everybody doing treaties? Is everybody having friendships and peace? Does everybody have peace and friendship in the 1780s? I want a real answer. I want a real answer. Ain't nobody saying nothing on the chat. And you see how nobody's really here. Like, people don't, you know. If it's not gossip, if it's not my image on it in my yard or sign, I don't know. It's like, I don't get no. If I was to go live and put my image on the thumbnail and put I got 200 people on the live. Yeah. Are we talking about real history here? trying to help people understand something here and get past the debating and the fighting and the arguing and the whole missing context. So red lines say wars. What about wars? So did everybody have peace and friendship in the 1780s, guys? Did everybody have peace and friendship? Okay, a lot of wars were going on. Yep. Hey, how far back are you guys? You're like 5 minutes behind or something? Answering so late. Yeah. Was originally written in Arabic. Okay, thank you. Thanks for your side note. Okay. Well, we're gonna talk about the context of the treaty, not if it was written in English, if it was written in Arabic, right? I'm talking about what was going on in the 1780s, right? So just wars. So there's wars going on, but there's people doing treaties. So that's not a war. That's not a war. If people are doing a treaty of peace and friendship, that doesn't mean war. He said, I'm here for the hyped up history. What are you talking about, man? Hyped up history. So I'm allowing people that are not subscribed to my channel to be able to chat today. Right? You get your opportunity. I'm trying to be reasonable and human with you. Right? So I guess I'm gonna just say it because you guys are not answering. You're not helping. You guys are not helping. Okay, so the slave trade. Okay, slave trade. Well, yeah, the real slave trade, right? The real slave trade, right? The real slave trade, right? American Indians, undesirable Europeans. Not the false one, right? Not the false one, right? I'm waiting on content, says Mr. Bay. Okay, the guy who praises Drew Ali earlier, and guys, please be respectful. Like somebody does that, just please be respectful. Don't repeat things we already know that are just gonna make people upset. We're trying to reason, even with our elders who are part of the doctrine for years. Maybe, hopefully, they can reason and just not be so one-sided. Not one-sided. You gotta have both sides of the story. You gotta have everything, the whole context. Okay, he says, I just want to read. He says, waiting on context, but pretty sure peace was established in many. Okay, yeah, I'm sure peace was established in many places for certain people. Not for everyone. That's my whole point. Because when you guys use it, this treaty, you act like it involves the American indigenous people. Like that benefited the American indigenous because that you group under Moors, that you guys group under Moors. So let's be real. Let's keep it 100. Let's not beat around the bush. All right. I'm also just waiting for more people to join, guys. I'm waiting for more people to join so we can get. So if you impatient, you don't want to wait for the context, then you can leave. Watch later. All right. So I'm not on anybody's time right now. I'm glad you like the videos. Thank you for taking the time to watch them. Okay, guys, so during this time, I'll just answer it, not everybody has peace and friendship treaties. And not everybody is making treaties, and not everyone made treaties. All right, and specific treaties, specific reasons, specific people. It doesn't include everybody. It's not a generalization. Okay? So let me get on with it. All right. Again, this is literally something I just said. I'm gonna talk about this, but let me just go live. I didn't have nothing planned because this is very simple. Something very simple and logical. Just one thing that's very simple to understand about this. Garavito, that's my ancestor. Okay. So you're in Punta Arenas or somewhere. Where you at, man? En la provincia, en el Pacífico. What's up, man? Okay. Let's. What does Wikipedia say? Let's see. What does Wikipedia say? Actually, let's just go. So, guys, if you're clueless to what I'm talking about, if you're clueless to what Moorish science is, or Moorish science follower is, or Drew Ali, or any treaties, or this specific treaty, the Moroccan-American Treaty of Peace and Friendship from 1786. Let's have some context. Let's learn about it. Let's read it, right? Hold on, guys. Oh, I didn't meant to do that. My fault. Okay. So this is in the founders.archive.gov. We're going to read it ourselves first. Okay? We're going to read it ourselves first. Watch me turn this on. Like, watch how funny this is. Listen. Hey, lead tab. See, this is what I'm saying, guys. Yeah. Hold up. Okay, we don't do beliefs here, and we don't do he said, she said, I think, I believe. We don't do that here, lead tab. Okay, this is what I'm trying to explain, and you're a great example of that. A lot of the people in this movement, they're not very historical research people. They just follow. They just believe what they hear, and then they spread it like it's a fact. We're talking about a specific thing, right? In 1786, between two nations, corporations, right? Kingdoms, whatever you want to see it, empires, whatever you want to call it. We're not talking about anything else, right? Whatever you want to say, oh, it was here, it was there. Just show me the primary sources. And the whole Washita Moore thing, I have a whole series on the Washita Moors, 4 videos. Lead tab. If you haven't watched it, go watch it. Yeah, you don't got no primary sources for that. I already know that. I already know you don't got no primary sources for linking the Ottoman Empire with Washita Moor Empire, okay? Because I don't even know what you're talking about, man. That doesn't even make sense, man. Go watch my video, man. All 4 parts, not just part 1. Watch all 4 parts. All right? Somebody share the link with him, please. Somebody share the link with him. I have the playlist Washita Moors. Somebody share the link with him. All right? Let's not talk about that and go off topic. Again, I'm allowing people that does not subscribe to be able to chat. And as you already see, that person's definitely not subscribed, lead tab. You wouldn't be saying that silliness because you really haven't watched my videos then. You must be like very, very, very brand new. Let's not do beliefs. It's my belief. It's my biased belief that I don't believe. You try to know. Okay, well, you haven't watched enough, right? Or you haven't done your own proper research on certain things, right? So we try to stay away from biases and beliefs, like following just beliefs. Literally said it is believed. It is believed that the author, you didn't say it's a fact, okay? We try to talk facts here. So let's talk facts, right? Let's get on. All right. So it says the Founders Online Archive.government. So there's a government website, right? This is a transcript of the treaty. Obviously, the original from 1786 looks a lot different, and I actually have that. I have that book somewhere that has the original treaty from the 1700s. All right. So it's the weird writing. You know, it's much easier to read right here. Okay. So we're gonna read it just to have a little bit of context. All right. I wasn't even planning to read the whole thing. I was just gonna go straight to ChatGPT, get to the point, but let's have context. That way nobody says, no, it doesn't say that, it says this, it doesn't say that, it says this. Okay, no, we're gonna read it. Yeah, these guys don't make sense, don't worry about it. Yeah, just help me out with it then, guys. But be respectful. Don't just start being disrespectful to people. If they're being respectful, right? And if they're not listening, continue with their off-topic babble that we already know is babbling. Just time them out for 24 hours. Don't block them, you know, if they're being respectful. Now, if they get disrespectful, get them out of here. Right? If they're not listening, trying to, you know. So it says here, the Moroccan-American Treaty of Peace and Friendship. In the name of Almighty God, this is a treaty of peace and friendship established between us who? Remember, I always tell you guys that everybody's us and everybody's we is not the same. So between us and the United States of America. So when they say us, they mean Morocco. an actual country in Africa, not a ancient, whatever you want to call, empire in America. They're talking about a people in North Africa who had established themselves there and created the country Morocco. Okay? Which is confirmed, in which we have ordered to be written in the book and sealed with our royal seal at our court of Morocco. On the 25th day of the blessed month of Shaban, in the year 1200, trusting in God, it will remain permanent. It's still going. Yes, they make sure. We declare that both parties have agreed that this treaty, consisting of 25 articles, shall be inserted in the book and delivered to the Honorable Thomas Barclay, the agent of the United States now at our court, with whose approbation it has been made, and who is duly authorized on their part to treat us concerning all the matters contained therein. If either of the parties shall be at war with any nation whatever, the other party shall not take a commission from the enemy, nor fight under their colors. Okay, so that's, you see, so far we got 2 points, right? If either party shall be at war with any nation whatever, the other party shall not take a commission from the enemy. So they shouldn't ally or take and benefit in any way with each other's enemies. They're letting you know, okay? If either of the parties shall be at war with any nation whatever, and take a prize belonging to that nation, and there shall be found on board subjects or effects belonging to either of the parties, the subject shall be set at liberty, and the effects returned on the owners. And if any good belonging to any nation with whom either of the parties shall be at war, shall be loaded on vessels belonging to the other party, they shall pass free and unmolested without any attempt being made to take or detain them. Okay? So, hey, literally, don't F with us. Leave us alone. If you see us at war with somebody else and we take that, just leave us, just like, pretend you didn't see it. A signal or pass shall be given to all vessels belonging to both parties. So, shipping, right? Trade, merchandise, transportation, right? Between both countries, United States, and we're going to talk about when they say United States, what it means, who they talking about. That's just the point of today's video. Okay? But so far, just understand that. They're like, hey, our ships should go back and forth between, our empires, freely, by which they are to be known when they meet at sea. If the commander of a ship of war of either party shall have other ships under his convoy, the declaration of the commander shall alone be sufficient to exempt any of them from examination, right? So don't come pirate us, don't attack us, don't loot us, because that's what, see, we're going to have context by the end of the video. See, what they're not telling you in this treaty is that these North African countries, Morocco, Algeria, and Tripoli, they were pirating, and they controlled the Mediterranean. Nobody was passing through there without their authorization. And if they did, they were at the mercy of them doing whatever they wanted to them. So they're saying, hey, you guys can come and freely pass through here, and we can go to your shores and do the same, and you can't F with us, right? That's the deal, right? Okay, cool. If either of the parties shall be at war and shall meet at a vessel at sea belonging to the other, it is agreed that if an examination is to be made, it shall be done by sending a boat with 2 or 3 men only, and if any gun shall be fired, any injury done without reason, the offending party shall make good all damages. If any more shall bring citizens of the United States, okay, pay attention, so we don't misinterpret stuff here. If any more shall bring citizens of the United States or their effects. So something very important here. When they're saying more here, they're talking about them. Them in Morocco. So if he shall bring citizens of the United States or their effects to his majesty, the citizens shall immediately be set at liberty and the effects resorted in like manner. If any more, not a subject of these dominions, shall make prize of any of the citizens of America or their effects, and bring them into any of the ports of his majesty, they shall be immediately released, as they will then be considered as under his majesty's protection. Okay, so this paragraph, this point here, gets misconstrued or misinterpreted whether ignorantly or willingly, by a lot of the Moorish signs, brothers and sisters. And I even got, don't worry, I got another more to this is El Amin Bay, right? To clear up what they mean right there. When they're saying more there, they mean people of Morocco, the citizens of Morocco. They don't mean like what you guys are saying more means all black folks. That's not what they mean in this. All right, we're gonna get the whole context. We're just reading the thing right now. Yeah, this is the same website. It's the same website where you can find Benjamin. That doesn't mean anything, man. You're going somewhere else with it, man. Anyways, then point number 7. If any vessel of either party shall put into a port of the other and have occasion for provisions or other supplies, they shall be furnished without any interruption or molestation. Okay. In between Morocco and people representing the corporation of the United States, right? Because who's really going on ship in the 1780s over to the Mediterranean Sea? Let's be real. Let's keep it real. Representing the Americas or United States. Okay. If any vessel of the United States shall meet with disaster and at sea and put into one of our ports to repair, she shall be at liberty to land and reload her cargo without paying any duty whatever. Okay, very clear to me. If any vessel of the United States shall be cast on shore on any part of our coast, she shall remain at the disposition of the owners, and no one shall attempt going near her without their approbation, as she is then considered partially under our protection. If any vessel of the United States shall be forced to put into our ports by stress of weather or otherwise, we shall not be compelled to land her cargo, but shall remain in tranquility until the commander shall think proper to proceed on his voyage. Okay, I get it. So you see, they're just re-emphasizing specific stuff. It's mostly to do with marine commerce. Listen, it's mostly to do with commerce and trade and being on sea, right? And what to do between both nations or corporations in the sea when they meet each other, the treaty they have, they got to follow it, right? Okay. If any vessel of either of the parties shall have an engagement with a vessel belonging to any of the Christian powers or Catholic powers within gunshot of the ports of the other, the vessel so engaged shall be defended and protected as much as possible until she is in safety. And if any American vessel shall be cast on shore on the coast of Watnoon, or any coast thereabout, the people belonging to her shall be protected and assisted until, by the help of God, they shall be sent to their country. If we shall be at war with any Christian power or Catholic, right, and any our vessels sail from the ports of the United States, no vessel belonging to the enemy shall follow until 24 hours after the departure of our vessels, and the same regulation shall be observed toward the American vessels sailing from our ports, be their enemies, Moors or Christians. Whether they're enemies, people of Morocco, or Christians, Catholics. If any ship of war belonging to the United States shall put into any of our ports, she shall not be examined on any pretense whatever, even though she should have fugitive slaves on board, nor shall the governor or commander of the place compel them to be brought on shore under any pretext, nor require any payment for them. Okay, you see, this is what I was saying earlier, that hey, basically, if you see us, if you capture us with a ship, or we dock on your ports with a ship full of slaves, whether they're legal or illegal or whatever, you can make us take them. Not it. Just pretend you didn't see it. Pretend you didn't see it. Okay. All right. If a ship of war either party shall put into a port of the other and salute, it shall be returned from the fort with an equal number of guns, not with more or less. You shoot one bullet, I'm gonna shoot a bullet at you. The commerce with the United States shall be on the same footing as in the commerce with Spain. The commerce with the United States shall be on the same footing as the commerce with Spain, because Spain and Morocco is literally, or as that with the most favored nation for the time being, and their citizens shall be respected and esteemed, and have full liberty to pass and repass our country and seaports whenever they please without interruption. Number 15, guys, it's not a lot. Don't worry, like we will get through them, guys. We're just gonna make sure we read everything so people know that we're not leaving out anything. and and we can see what people are adding, right? So you guys can know what people are adding, most importantly, misinterpreting, right? Number 15, merchants of both countries shall employ merchants. Who's the merchants? Pay attention. Merchants of both countries shall employ 1780s, right? Who's the merchants? Of both countries shall employ only such interpreters and such other persons to assist them in their business as they shall think proper. No commander of a vessel shall transport his cargo on board another vessel. He shall not be detained in port longer than he may think proper, and all persons employed in loading or unloading goods or any other labor whatever shall be paid at the customary rates, no more, no less. In case of war between the parties, the prisoner are not to be made slaves. So look, in case they actually go to war, like Morocco and the United States, the prisoners should not be made slaves, but to be exchanged for one another, captain for captain, officer for officer, and one private man for another. And if there shall prove a deficiency on either side, it shall be made up by the payment of 100 Mexican dollars for each person wanting. And it is agreed that all prisoners shall be exchanged in 12 months from the time of their being taken, and that this exchange may be effected by a merchant or any other person, a bondsman, or any other person authorized by either of the parties. Number 17 says, merchants shall not be compelled to buy or sell any kind of goods, but such as they shall think proper. They may buy and sell all sorts of merchandise, but such are prohibited to the other Christian nations. So all access for these so-called merchants. So merchants from Morocco can come and grab all the stuff they need. They got all the sources, all the hookup. Same thing with Sephardic Jews coming from here, going back over there, and free commerce. Listen, they're not compelled to buy or sell any kind of goods, and they can sell or buy anything in their country. Like Americans could go and sell in Morocco, right? And Morocco could come here and sell in America, right? So, but what I'm trying to tell you guys is that, see, I know a lot of guys, oh, they're still doing that today, but listen, you gotta understand why they're doing this specifically between these two places, man. This context. You gotta have a lot of context, guys. We'll go over that. Okay, let's have, now you went off topic again. Yeah. I know about Mount Ararat and Pilot Mountain. Okay, thank you, Dad. Thank you. Future video. I've actually mentioned that. I know about Mount Ararat. I know Pilot Mountain with the Sara people, the Eastern Siouan people, not Moors. Eastern Siouan people lived, and that was their area. Eastern Siouan peoples, thousands of years. That was their area. They didn't call themselves Moors, right? And it's not Turkey. They never called that place Turkey just because there was a mountain called Mount Ararat. It doesn't mean that was a place called Turkey. Okay? So, I'm sorry. I'm just addressing somebody in the chat. Like, you didn't get blocked. You just got timed out for 24 hours because again, you're going off topic and then you're missing a lot of context, and I already told you don't do that. All right? We're talking about a specific thing right now. So try to pay attention because it seems like you're not. You keep going off topic. You're not paying attention to what you're talking about North Carolina, Mount Ararat. That has nothing to do with what I'm talking about right now. You're still trying to convince me that Morocco's here. I know that's what you're trying to do. And that's what I'm saying. Like, you guys don't understand. I know. I see the hijack a mile away. Like, chill. Like, stop. Let's listen. I ain't done. We're going over the treaty, all right? So nobody can take out or add anything. So number 18, all goods shall be weighed and examined before they are sent on board. And to avoid all detention of vessels, no examination shall afterwards be made, unless it shall be first proved that contraband goods have been sent on board, in which case the persons who took the contraband goods on board shall be punished according to the usage and custom of the country, and no other person whatever shall be injured, nor shall the ship or cargo incur any penalty or damage, whatever. Okay, very basic stuff to understand. Says number 19, no vessel shall be detained in port on any pretense whatever, nor be obliged to take on board any article without the consent of the commander, who shall be at full liberty to agree for the freight of any goods he takes on board. Okay, pretty simple to understand. Number 20, if any of the citizens of the United States or any persons under their protection shall have any disputes with each other, the council shall decide between the parties, and whenever the council shall require any aid or assistance from our government, to enforce his decisions, it shall be immediately granted to him. That's kind of crazy right here because that goes with Black's Law Dictionary definition for more. Let me see if I have it, guys. Because that literally, they were literally talking about people from Morocco. They were literally talking about people. It was a position held by people from Morocco. Ah, let me just see if I can Google it. Black laws. Okay, more. This is a definition in the Black's Law Dictionary, right? This is obviously a website, but this is the definition in general. So it says an officer in the eyes of a man who summons the courts for the several cheatings. The office is similar to the English bailiff of 100. Okay, you understand? And then it's talking about anybody being of dark. It has anything to do with just dark complexion or Morocco itself. But listen, it's something to do with the courts, right? Just like it just said here. If any of the citizens of the United States or any persons under their protection shall have any disputes of each other, the council shall decide between the parties. The council shall require any aid or assistance from a government to enforce its decisions. It shall be immediately granted to him. If a citizen of the United States shall kill or wound a Moor, a person from Morocco, you see, this is what I'm saying. They're talking about the treaty between Morocco and the United States. So when they're using Moor in this treaty, guys, this whole time you've been trying to make us think they meant what you think of more. Oh, black folks, more Morocco, more the black Asiatics, Jew illegals. Nah, that's not what they were talking about in this treaty. They literally was talking about their people in Morocco. Shorten it to more. So if a citizen of the United States should kill or wound a Moor or a Moroccan, or on the contrary, if a Moroccan shall kill or wound a citizen of the United States, the law of the country shall take place and equal justice shall be rendered. The council assisting at the trial. If any delinquent shall make his escape, the council shall not be answerable for him in any manner whatever. The council. The council. Oh shit, what's this? The courts. One who summons the courts for several shootings. The council. All right. Number 22, if an American citizen shall die in our country and no will shall appear, the council shall take possession of his effects. If there shall be no council, the effects shall be deposited in the hands of some person worthy of trust until the party shall appear who has a right to demand them. But if the heir to the person deceased be present, the property shall be delivered to him without interruption. And if a will shall appear, the property shall descend agreeable to that will, as soon as the council shall declare the validity thereof. Okay. You guys get it? That was the legal jargon. The legal, legalese. Hi, chat. What's up? The Council of the United States, number 23, right? Shall reside in any seaport of our dominions that they shall think proper. They shall be respected and enjoy all the privileges which the councils of any other nation enjoy. If any of the citizens of the United States shall contract any debts or engagements, the council shall not be in any manner accountable for them, unless he shall have given a promise in writing for the payment or fulfilling thereof, without which promise in writing no application to him for any redress shall be made. Number 24. If any difference shall arise by either party infringing on any of the articles of this treaty, peace and harmony shall remain notwithstanding in the fullest force, until a friendly application shall be made for an arrangement, and until that application shall be rejected. No appeal shall be made to arm, and if a war shall break out between the parties, 9 months shall be granted to all the subjects of both parties to dispose of their effects and retire with their property. And it is further declared that whatever indulgences in trade or otherwise shall be granted to any of the Christian powers, or the Catholics, right? The citizens of the United States shall be equally entitled to them. And number 25, this treaty shall continue in full force with the help of God for 50 years, right? So obviously it lasted more than 50 years, guys. It's actually, I believe, still going on. I believe. Well, we'll get to the whole details, right? So it says, we have delivered this book into the hands of the before mentioned Thomas Barclay on the first day of the blessed month of Ramadan. On Ramadan, and the year 1200. I certify that the annex is a true copy of the translation made by Isaac Cardosa Nunez, interpreter at Morocco, of the treaty between the Emperor of Morocco and the United States of America. Okay, so translation by Mr. Cardozo, huh? Isaac Cardozo Nunez. You mean from the Cardozo families, right? Our branch of the Cardozo family changed surname from Cardozo sometimes in the 1930s. Several other branches of the Cardozo family have, for one another reason, also made the change. Everyone thought Cardozo was an Italian name. Family legends has it that Cardozos came from Spain and that the family is of Jewish descent. Jewish descent, okay. While much of the effort to date has been to identify the descendants of Ida's and Edwin's parents. All right, well, let me just read. Hold on. Where is it? Let me just read. Right here. So, some Jewish history. It says in 1492, the same year Columbus sailed the ocean blue. Right, the same year Columbus is coming is the same year the Sephardic Jews and the Moors are getting kicked out of Spain and Portugal. Same year, happens to be the same year Columbus came, who is a Sephardic Jew himself, and all his people are Sephardic Jews and Moors on that ship, most of them, right? We've gone over the history. This is what I'm saying. Stop telling the story one-sided. There's two sides to the story. Like, who's really all this benefiting and who is it not benefiting? Okay. So it says Jews were exiled from Spain. Several years before, they had been expelled from Portugal. These Jews are called Sephardic. All right? The ones from Spain and Portugal, those are Sephardic Jews, not the ones in Bulgaria. Being from the Iberian Peninsula, as opposed to the Ashkenazi Jews of Eastern Europe, as opposed to people being born in Bulgaria, like I said, like the Mexican president's people, right? Anyways, Cardozo, right? He signed. You see who's really involved in this stuff. Remember, this benefits a lot of merchants. All right, real quick. Just want to read this from El Amin Bey versus Stumpf, right? Real quick. He says, misconception about the Treaty of Peace and Friendship and Ship Signals. A common misconception that the majority of Moors have is that the Treaty of Peace and Friendship has some sort of saving power to save us who? From the jurisdiction of our oppressors. So again, us who? He's talking about, oh, you shall not incarcerate a Moor, you know, what it was saying here, but this is talking about people of Morocco. This is talking about people of Morocco the whole time. I'm going to show you. It wasn't talking about the Moorish Science Brothers definition or Drew Ali's definition of a Moor. Two different things, okay? So he's saying, hey, you think this is going to save us from jurisdiction of our oppressors? It may have had some power when there were actual, listen, when there were actual Moroccans living in North America. That's who, when they say Moors, that's who they were talking about, guys. Moroccans living in North America during the beginning of European colonization. However, in modern times, it is merely symbolic of Morocco being the first nation to open its ports to the United States, recognizing the United States as a sovereign nation. Okay, recognizing who? The United States, right? The newly formed corporate government. Does that mean the people? Does that mean the original indigenous people? Let's make that clear. No, it does not. So let's just continue for now. So what? They recognize the corporation. So what? All right, we're gonna continue with that. So all right, he's pointing out what I was saying earlier. They talking about Moroccans, and they don't mean Moors like how you use Moors today, try to make us believe it means, right? In this treaty. No, you're misinterpreting, and if your leader is telling you that, he seems like a smart guy that not to know that that was the obvious thing when this word is being used in that treaty. Is talking about Moroccans associating or living with North America, or North Americans, like associating with them or living in North America, because they had a treaty with Morocco. So they're talking about their own people. When the Kingdom of Morocco was conquered by France in 1912, the Moroccan Empire was no more. Spain came behind France to pick apart the rest of the empire. All of the territories that Morocco controlled were taken by France or Spain, or they were freed. The treaty still exists because the United States did not assist France or Spain in the overthrow of Morocco. A thorough reading of the treaty will reveal that it makes a distinction between Moors and subjects of Morocco, and that's what we just did. That's why we read it ourselves. That's why we read it ourselves, so we can interpret it how it's supposed to be interpreted with all the historical context and who's involved and what they're talking about and who they mean when they're saying Moors in it. They talking about the Moroccans, whether they're in Morocco, associating with Americans, or living in the Americas, right? They are protected. So-called Moors, they meant Morocco. That's the brother right here from the Moorish Science Temple as well. He understands. There's a clear distinction between Moors and subjects of Morocco. And if you actually totally read this treaty, it says that subjects of Morocco will be returned to Morocco. It does not say anything about the United States releasing any Moors. He's talking about black folks, right? Because of course, black folks are Moors to the Moorish Science brothers. All black folks are Moors, right? So he's clearly telling you, yeah, this doesn't mean it's going to help black folks. Anyone who has told you that they have used the Treaty of Peace and Friendship to have a court case dismissed, they lying, man. I already know they lying about that. To free themselves or someone else is most likely lying to you. You see, this is from the horse's mouth themselves. From the horse's mouth themselves, right? Who is this? Nin El Amin Bey Kamija El Amin Aloha, all right? That's who that is telling you this, right? It's okay. It's not me. Ask them for the court records. Yeah, let me see the sources. There will always be a paper trail they cannot produce. Just like what I'm telling, this is what I'm trying to point out here, guys. Hey, Raphael Washington, man, listen, man. You first of all, like, I don't know, you might be doing it naively, but you're coming in here going off topic, not listening. We don't do that Moorish science thing here, man. We don't do the following movement stuff. We're talking about history here, not religious mindsets, not religious blind following movements without having context. This is what we're trying to teach here. Real context. This is one of the main things you guys use to try to like make black folks into Moors only. So chill, man. Listen and don't go off subject, man. Or you will get timed out for 24 hours. You won't get blocked because you're being respectful. But you're going off topic. This has nothing to do with no temples or anything like that. You're 8 years late. This is what I'm going to recommend for all the Moorish Science brothers out here that are brand new to my channel, right? All right, I hate to have to do this, but context is very much necessary, and you can decide what you think of me or what you think of what I'm saying after you watch this series, right? Okay. Well, here's the Wichita Moors Factual History one, right? Make sure to watch that one. It's called Wichita Moors Factual History. Go watch that playlist, right? And then, this is the one I really want you to watch, right? The playlist is called No More Misunderstanding.
Control and domination.
No More Misunderstanding. 197 videos. 197 videos for you to dive into if you like, right? It's starting 7, 8 years ago, some of them, right? Some of them going back 7 years, 8 years, right? All right, feel free to dive into them. All right, there's a whole history that the people you were following left out a lot of context to you when they're just spewing certain beliefs, their own beliefs and their own cultural background into you without you verifying everything. All right, so I don't want to see no more of you Moorish brothers going off topic, not even paying attention to what I'm trying to say to you, because then you're not here to learn. You're not a person willing to listen and open your mind up to something new, because we're always learning. We never stop learning. And I thought that would be one of the things about the so-called science, right? That you never stop learning, right? So you got to be humble. You got to come here, again, 197 videos for you to understand there's a bigger world out there than just thinking everything in a more science way, biasly, leaving out so much context and generalizing. I'm trying to help. You can hate me if you like, but that's just emotion. That just shows me you're emotional and you're just attached to it emotionally, not factually. Okay? So, whatever. Get mad at me, but this research speaks for itself. That's what we're talking about today. We're not even at the main point yet. Okay? I was still reading this Moorish Science Brothers explanation to the other Moorish Science Brothers that ignorantly believe what they're told by the people who they're following, not look into it really, and they just, oh, that sounds like music to your ears, so you run with it and you try to debate me with it, and you try to debate everybody else with it when you don't even realize you're not even making no sense of you, and it has nothing to do with what we're talking about. Because who does this really benefit and who didn't it benefit? We're gonna get to that, all right? We're gonna really get to that. But this brother's making a lot of good points right here. So this is, to me, this, I respect a Moorish Science brother like this. I really respect somebody who's actually willing to correct his own people and correct himself. Correct that false misunderstanding or misinterpretation, if that's what it was. But that's me giving your leaders benefits of the doubt. I really think they're just gatekeeping and purposely misguided you. That's just my opinion about them personally. Okay? And the research will show why. So, okay, so again, this treaty makes a distinction between Moroccans and what people are calling the Moors, black folks being called Moors, right? There's always going to be a paper trail. They lie and they use this in court. They lie. And it says for several decades, Moors have been attempting to enforce the Treaty of Peace Friendship to no avail. They're talking about black folks. They're calling themselves Moorish Science, right? The Moorish Science Brothers. So we're going to switch Moors to Moorish Science Brothers, right? If the treaty worked like that, or if we were Moroccans, actually, we would have been free long ago. You understand? You understand? It's very simple. This was a treaty with Moroccan and Moroccans. And Americans, right? But you're saying, oh, but we're Americans, so we're, no, okay. We'll see exactly what type of American this was benefiting, right? Because you guys also like to use this treaty and to like it's benefiting indigenous people somehow. So we're gonna get to that. It says the above section on sundry free Moors shows you that U.S. were not honoring the treaty. It also shows you that the U.S. enslaved several Moroccans with ease in spite of the treaty. They obviously had no way to get word back to Morocco to say that they had been enslaved. All right, so they were breaking the treaties on both sides, obviously, probably. Who really follows treaties to a T? And who's really monitoring all these treaties, right? Not just this one. So today, even though the treaty is unbroken, it is merely a symbol of Morocco being the first nation to recognize the United States as a sovereign nation, the corporation. Literally, the corporation. I recognize you a corporation, right? Now you can expand. Morocco does not recognize anyone here as being Moroccan. You understand? When they're saying, hey, you got to free these Moors in this treaty, they were talking about their own people, Moroccans. They didn't mean black folks all over the world. All right? That originated in Morocco, which was in ancient America. Like, all right, you guys, now you just adding your biased cultural background, indoctrinated background into where we're learning this new information that America's the truth. Now you're adding, now you want to still keep on to your, just like when Pan-Africans say, well, this was Africa. Well, we were all connected. It don't matter. We came from Africa anyways. Yeah, this is kind of the same thing. You don't realize that, you're kind of doing the same thing. Okay, so again, it is merely a symbol of Morocco. It doesn't mean nothing. Because Morocco does not recognize anyone here as being Moroccan. And if they did, that person could not stay in North America and would have to get a visa. They would be sent to Morocco. As an example of how the courts view the treaty, please look at the case of El Amin Bey and Stumpf. In this case, it appears that the federal courts have come to an agreement that the use of Treaty of Peace and Friendship will be found to be frivolous use. All right? So it doesn't even work in court, so stop that. All right? All right. So, again, when you go, look, I put Treaty of Peace and Friendship, Moorish Science, right? Like, first website that comes out, right? Like, the Moorish Science Temple of America, official, I've again, go watch my playlist. No more. We've been through all these websites. Trust me. Trust me. Broke down the info and get context. So, this is what the Moorish Science brothers are saying, right? The ones who are deep into the like not being open-minded like this guy. He's trying to help his other Moors, right, to understand sign, right? So, but you go to the website, this is what you get, right? It says the Moorish Science Civil America is federally recognized ecclesiastical. Okay, good. It says we serve the Council of the United States for the Moroccan Empire. So you're the council. That's what I was trying to tell you. Who summons the courts for several sentence? An officer. On behalf, for governmental religious counselor on behalf of Moorish American national. Who's that? This is what the guy's trying to tell you. That treaty was talking about Moroccans. It wasn't talking about nobody in the United States. Not, they're talking about Moroccans. It says the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. Look, between the United States and Morocco. See how they use it right away? It's one of the first things that you use. The Supreme Clause of the U.S. Constitution. See? So what does that have to do with the indigenous people? What? We just read the whole treaty. You got here late, Jomin and Lanin. You got here late. Don't come here with emotions. You get timed out. Yeah, we're not here to entertain people's emotions today. We read the whole treaty. We read it. We're clear on what it means, who it involves, right? Okay, let's get to the point of this video. I say, hey, ChatGPT, what's up? It's me, and I know you know who I am. Again, you got the same IP address. Don't worry if you got to tell me you can't remember. It's okay. Let's just get that past today. I always mess with the ChatGPT every morning, every day like that, because I know it knows my IP. I'm just trying to make it admit it. It did once. It admitted once that it remembered me. Right after it said no, we don't have the ability to remember. It says welcome back and no worries at all. I don't retain personal details like IP address or past conversations, but I'm fully here and ready to dig into whatever you want to investigate today. How did you know I was gonna? Oh yeah, that's it. All right, so I said, let's look into the Treaty of Peace and Friendship between Morocco and the United States. I want to focus on how this benefited more, on who this benefited more, that's what I meant, and how it benefited the American indigenous people. It honestly looks like it benefited the United States new corporation than the actual original people. That's what I said. That was my opening thing to ChatGPT, right? Where was Morocco? What's your point? 1787 was over there in North Africa. All right, man. You're going. Listen, man. Go be a salty. You got 24 hours, man. I know you're not even subscribed because I'm allowing people that are not subscribed to chat. So I know you guys not even subscribed because I know you wouldn't be following me, being all salty like this. I show nothing but sources and facts here. All right. We don't just talk here. We don't just conjecture and talk. And it sounds like music to your ears and you believe it and you run with it. Yeah, we don't do that here. And you make it about complexion and skin color only. And you try to make it about complexion, which is worse. All right. Absolutely, he says. Let's get with it. Let's dig into it with clarity and historical precision. The Treaty of Peace and Friendship between Morocco and the United States is one of the oldest U.S. treaties still in force. Wonder why. But its benefits were not distributed equally across all peoples living within the emergent U.S. nation state. Below is a breakdown that separates 1, what the treaty actually did, 2, who it benefited, and 3, how it related to indigenous peoples, including why it did not benefit them. Because y'all like to use this treaty like it benefited, like y'all want to ride the American Indian bandwagon with this treaty, like it makes sense. Like that doesn't make sense to me. It never did. I'm like, how does George Washington, who was trying to create the United States government, taking land from American Indians, we know he's a Huguenot, we know he's a black man, we know he has black European heritage. If he has Huguenot heritage, Huguenots are ex-Moors, literally, literally. So there's a little conflict of interest there as well too, with his heritage, and with and they knew who he was, man. Come on now. So, anyways, the whole idea that it benefited, somehow is benefiting all Black Americans. It's silly to me. Like, how does that make sense? Why you still guys running with this? And that don't make no sense. Because the treaty was negotiated primarily to protect U.S. commercial ships. And who owns these commercial ships at this time? Oh, where is Morocco? 17. Who was the ship owners in 1787? Don't tell me it was the white man. It's mostly Sephardic Jews and Muslim Moors from Spain and Portugal. And Morocco and all these North African, yes. North African states, so this protected North African states, including Morocco, Algiers, Tunis, and Tripoli, controlled Mediterranean trade routes. See, they controlled the Mediterranean and captured ships. I told you they were the pirates from countries without treaties. If you didn't have a treaty with them, they'll pirate your ass, take your whole ship. The U.S., newly independent and lacking a navy, needed protection. We didn't have a navy. So they say, hey, can you protect us? When we out there, please, can you protect us? Us who? Us who? We'll get to that. So it's also established diplomatic recognition of the U.S. Now, does that mean it recognized the U.S. American indigenous people, or did it recognize the U.S. corporation that was just established? Morocco was the first nation to recognize the U.S. as an independent state in 1777. The treaty formalized that recognition. Yeah, recognized the corporation. Provide commercial privileges. It expanded economic access for American merchants. Who's the merchants in Moroccan ports and vice versa? Who's the merchants? So American Indians, right? That's American Indians who were the merchants? No. Ensure peace between U.S. and Morocco subjects? Okay. Subjects, right? It laid out rules for maritime safety, prisoner treatment, and trade neutrality. We read the whole treaty, guys. So we got it, right? So we're like, yeah, we can agree with all that, right? Yeah. Who this actually benefited, though? Who did it really benefit? A, right away, with asteroids, and says the U.S. government and merchant class, major beneficiaries. The U.S. government, not the people. Not the people, not the indigenous people, not the Indians, not my Cherokee ancestor, my Blackfoot, not my no. The U.S. government and the merchant class. A certain type of people. Who was these merchant class? A lot of them Sephardic Jews and Muslim Moors. Oh, what a coincidence. They're making treaties with, and the guy who signed the treaty, or translated the treaty, right? Cardozo, right? Isaac Cardozo Nunez. Cardozos are Sephardic Jews. The Cardozos are Sephardic Jews. Moorish Sephardic Jews. People were mixing, they were coming together, converting to each other's religion for 700-800 years in the Iberian Peninsula. Okay, so let's go back. So the merchant class, not the average Americans, not the average Americans, and definitely not indigenous peoples, and definitely not indigenous peoples. I didn't have to, all I had to do was read the treaty myself and just see, okay, how does this benefit Indians? Why is it so hard to understand this? Because you're so blinded and biased by your belief, your what you believe in, and your culture and your movement and whatever blind following you have, that you don't see the obvious. The treaty benefited early American merchants and shipping corporations. Same merchants and shipping corporations that was enslaving American Indians and transporting them to that side of the world, and which they had already made a treaty, said, hey, if you see us with some American Indian slaves, hey, just mind your business, okay? Mind your business. Okay. U.S. diplomatic standing, right? The corporate got diplomatic standing now. The corporation now is respected. The corporation. Maritime insurers, that's who the Sephardic Jews and Moors who own and insure these ships. The new federal government, the federal hijack corporation, which wanted legitimacy. They needed some legitimacy to be a real thing because it was a fake, it was illegal. You understand, creating this corporation was not constitutional. because it wasn't based on the people. When they made this treaty, when the US signed this treaty, guys, did they ask the American Indians for any advice on it? So how is that constitutional? Even the American colonies, how is that constitutional? You understand what I'm telling you? So who's benefiting? The new federal government, the hijack, which wanted legitimacy abroad because they wasn't real. There was no legitimacy. The real people who would give a legitimacy in their own land, the own people, the original people who have supposed to have been voted and been like Congress, and they didn't have a say in on none of that. So that's not legitimate. They needed some type of legitimacy, and Morocco gave it to them. Who gave the corporation, our enemy, when it comes to indigenous people's enemy, legitimacy abroad? Investors involved in Atlantic trade. So anybody involved with the money in the Atlantic trade, which include human cargo, so-called slaves. So you helping that. B, Morocco also gained trade access, diplomatic ties, a stable relationship with a rising Atlantic power. So they got all our resources now. They got all the stuff where we can they benefit from the Americas so much all these years. Now let's get to some reals. This is the part that a lot of y'all don't want to pay attention to or care about, because y'all want to just be more. We all Moors, man. It says how it affected indigenous peoples in the U.S. Here's the crucial part. The treaty was not made with indigenous nations, okay? And it did not address their sovereignty, rights, or well-being. You understand? So Morocco's doing business or a treaty not even with its own people. So their rights and sovereignty are not even included. They can get enslaved as long as it's in between the treaty, right? As long as it doesn't affect anything in the treaty, you can do whatever you like to the American Indians, right? The early US was expanding westward, right? Manifest destiny, right? The doctrine of discovery. What did they do? This was part of it. This treaty helped that. This treaty helped manifest destiny. That's not a good thing. So it was expanding westward, was displacing indigenous nations. It was what? Displacing. So that's why I was asking you at the beginning of this video. Did everybody have peace and friendship during this treaty? Everybody's living in peace now? And you represent everybody in the United States to be making treaties with other countries? No, you didn't represent everybody, especially the original people, which should be the very first people. Don't you, I mean, wouldn't that be something logical? Isn't that the most logical thing to say, like, to really think about? Like, am I going crazy here? Am I going crazy here? All right, man. Get out of here with your hurt punk ass feelings, man. Now you definitely get hitting with your little baby crying, little baby ass crying. Get out of here, man. Yeah, this is what I'm saying, guys. You see what we're talking about, real things here, and he's over there salty as shit. But he don't care that this didn't help the indigenous nations. You don't care about that part, right? You're more offended of your belief, your whole following, your movement being seen as bad. You don't care of the truth of history, who this affects and who it didn't affect, right? Like who it damaged, who it benefited, right? You don't care about that. And you guys see, that's all you Moorish science brothers here listening. That's the reaction I get in general from you guys. You guys have you guys very immature. You don't know how to deal with things get pointed out like this in an educational way. Talking about passive aggressive, yeah, passive. I have to repeat myself because there's been so many years of bullshit. So you guys got to bullshit for years. Your leaders got to bullshit us for years and misdirect us, misinform, mislead. But yeah, I'm being passive. Okay, it don't matter how I'm saying it. The truth is the truth. It don't matter how you feel about it. It don't matter how my tone. That doesn't matter. Yes, I'm passionate about this because you guys are still looking at you. You come in here disrespecting, being a baby cry, talking shit, man. Instead of being humble and just listening and verifying and going to think about reflecting on what I'm showing and saying here. How did this benefit the indigenous people? If you're supposed to be representing the so-called black original Moors of America to marry, you're literally bringing that up, and I'm telling you, this does not benefit them. So you make no sense. You don't even realize it. You guys are stuck like in a spell. You're not listening. You're not. It's like you're deaf and blind. You choose to be. I'm trying to help you break that spell. It's your choice or not. You don't have to be here. Nobody's gonna force you either. Get out of here. The truth is, this treaty did not help the American indigenous nations at all. They didn't care about their sovereignty or their rights or their well-being. The U.S. was displacing indigenous nations. It was forming treaties with native nations, often coercively or dishonestly, or it just didn't follow through. Was using its increased international recognition to justify internal consolidation of power. You guys understand that this treaty helped them take over the rest of the country, take over the rest of your ancestors, the rest of the American indigenous lands and people. Yeah, the Louisiana Purchase, this is what I'm trying to tell you. That there wouldn't be a Louisiana Purchase without this treaty, guys. This is what I'm trying to, yes. The further expansion, whatever happened after this, the expansion, is this was one of the key things that allowed that to happen, that made it easier to happen. They purposely come over. Who's purposely? Yeah, this is not about they or who and doing. We're talking about specific stuff, guys, here. So, you know, guys, try not to like delete everybody. You think everything's. Try to have context with people. What are you talking about? They who? You know, like, don't just delete comments, guys. You know, I only do that to disrespectful ones and people that are just totally off topic. Like, so, anyways, let's continue. It says indirect impact on the indigenous peoples, negative. There's nothing positive about it. This is not me. This is just the ChatGPT looking into the logical historical part behind it when I asked him a specific question about how did it benefit the indigenous people. He's letting me know based on the programming, it searched through the whole history part because, you know, it goes through mainstream. Even through going through mainstream, it's very obvious. This is not hitting. This is not no conspiracy. This is not hitting. If you pay attention to details, if you know real context behind real history, if you stop being biased and believe in your leader and just running with it for years. Yeah, thank you, the freak. Yeah, don't worry, man. That's what I'm saying. Like, guys, don't just be deleting comments and all that. Like, ask them what they're talking about if you're not sure, you know? Okay, so, okay, we're not talking about Islam. See, you guys are going off topic. We're not talking about Islam, bro. I'm not, you're going on a whole different thing. I'm talking science specific. We're talking about the Treaty of Peace and who did it really benefit? What it was about. We read already what it's about, so you can't say you didn't know what it's about, who is talking about, who is not talking about. So people don't add things, right? Make up shit, add to it, or remove things from it. That's why we read it all, right? And now I asked ChatGPT a very serious question, and you know, ChatGPT tries to be mainstream, tries to be logical, tries to research, tries to provide context because I asked for it. All right. So it says, although the treaty itself doesn't mention indigenous nations, its effects supported U.S. expansion in several indirect but real ways. Pay attention. Strengthening U.S. state legitimacy. International recognition helped the U.S. solidify itself as a unified political entity. You see, when it comes to legal stuff, when it comes to doing things in a legal way and over to conquer and take over a people legally, they needed that treaty, guys. You understand? Who knows about legal stuff? Oh, legal this, I'm a sovereign citizen. Oh, all this legal bull jargon, all this running around that really doesn't work. If you start really paying attention to the videos on YouTube, people trying to go to court with this, they ain't winning. They're getting clowned. They're looking foolish in front of a judge. A lot of content is missing. Who created the legal system? I'm telling you, I'm showing you who. Who created the federal government? Who created that same legal system? That's why there's loopholes, because they know the loopholes and they know they're the experts in the loopholes because they created the loopholes. But unfortunately, the loopholes are outdated. All these loopholes were outdated. They were using all these loopholes back then. These loopholes are outdated now. Yeah, you can travel, but you don't have to drive to travel. You can use your 2 feet. right? Oh, I wasn't driving, I was traveling. Okay, well, you can travel with 2 feet or on a horse or on a bike. You don't need a car. You still need a license insurance for the car, though. That's a whole other law you're skipping. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not going to go into detail. You guys know what I'm talking about. But again, this helped them be recognized, right? So they became a unified political entity. This allowed the federal government to assert authority over indigenous lands, negotiate land cessions, fund Western expansion, fund Western expansion. Hey, shred some, zero waste. You're not paying attention. You're not paying attention, bro. Like you were here too earlier. You've been here. Yeah. So what? They're recognizing the government, the corporation, not the people, not the United States people, not the Indians, not black folks. Not you're not listening, guys. And you're a Patreon. I know you've been here a little while. A couple months. You got to try to pay attention to what I'm trying to show you. You're just repeating the same thing again, like that's a good thing. I'm showing you that's not a good thing. You're not paying, you're not listening or something. What's going on, man? Let me know, guys. Guys, can you hear me? Am I muted? Am I muted? How is that a good thing? I want to know, Shresam, how is that a good thing? How did that benefit you or your indigenous ancestors? I can't separate the treaty from what the hell are you? You're so, man, go babble somewhere else, man. What the hell are you talking about? We're talking about who it benefited and who it didn't. Very basic stuff, guys. Very basic stuff here. We read the whole treaty, so we saw what it entails and who's it for. So we're not taking out or adding anything to it. I don't care what you guys are babbling about. You guys are babbling like in the chat. Like, what are you talking about? I'm being very specific. How is this a good thing? Just because Morocco recognized and allowed U.S. to become a political entity, which allowed this federal government, the corporation, not the people, to assert authority over indigenous lands. So how is that a good thing that they recognize it? So what? To negotiate land cessions, right? Fake treaties, fund Western expansion. To fund Western, they needed money too. The commerce freed up. They can freely travel the Mediterranean. You guys not understanding. That money was used to fund Western expansion. Take over all your indigenous ancestors' land, identity, rights, everything. You guys are not paying attention. Shresam, zero waste. You understand now? Like, so what? Morocco recognized the corporate government. That's not recognizing the people, man. You guys say that like it's a benefit, like it means something important to the indigenous people. So this helped increase in economic power, right? This treaty, by protecting American trade, the treaty increased federal revenue. Okay, money, right? You got to chase that money back, right? Supported the growth of merchant capital. The merchants' capital helped finance the military infrastructure that later played a role in westward expansion. They were able to create their navies and their armies, and they used these people, right? These things against the Indians. We have a video literally like a month or two ago how they were using the armies, the park rangers, the scouts, the first to fight the Indians. It was created to fight the Indians, guys. Internal wars, not for external wars. The U.S. original armies and navies were created to fight internal enemies, the own original people. Boosting U.S. ability to act like a sovereign empire. So now, when they say U.S. here, we're talking about the corporation because that's who they help. They help recognize the corporation that had just been established, right? So it boosted to act like a sovereign empire. Now it became a sovereign. Oh, I'm a sovereign citizen. It's the same game. It's the same game. Who made you sovereign? Who made the federal corporation sovereign? Who made a corporation sovereign? Who made anything federal sovereign? Federal is sovereign, huh? So by boosting this, and now they're acting like a sovereign empire, right? International treaties like this one allowed the U.S. to behave as an equal among European powers. So now they're being recognized thanks to Morocco, right? Because nobody was agreeing to that in the Americas, of them colonizing and conquering people and murdering people and taking their lands. It also helped them adopt European norms of territorial sovereignty, right? So just like what the Europeans were doing, that they supposedly fought, they fought the Europeans because they wanted to be free from Europe, right? But then they started doing the same thing to the Indians, the new American government, right? This federal corporation. And it justified indigenous displacement under a colonial framework. So how does that benefit that Morocco was the first country to recognize the corporation of the US, of the United States, the corporation of the United States, not the people? In short, the benefit went to the US merchant and political classes, not indigenous peoples. So how's that a good thing? Any strengthening of the US as a state ultimately worked against indigenous sovereignty, right? Right? When their whole thing about the Moorish signs is to be sovereign, right? Sovereign, right? But you're using the same treaty. This is from Drew Ali, right? The Treaty of Peace and Friendship between the United States and Morocco. So what? Oh, look at the all-seeing eye and the crescent moon and all the symbols and the backward star of Rephaim. Come on now. Come on now. Like, you want to be blind, a blind follower? That's you, man. Go be a blind follower somewhere else, man. We're not on this frequency right here, man. We're not on that frequency, that hermetic stuff. We ain't in that hermetic thought shit. All right? You know what I'm talking about, because the ones deep into the hijack know exactly who they are and what their degrees are and what they learn in their secret societies. So yeah, I know you know, and I'm on to you, and you know I know, right? I know you're listening, but it's all good. You know, any evil thoughts or any plans of evil towards me, the Most High is my protection. I refute all you demons and evil-minded people. May Allah protect me from you evil people. May Allah fight my battles. I'm just letting you know, man, you're gonna have to deal with a greater, higher power. All right. So why it looks like it benefited the new corporation of the US? Because it did. Because it did. Because it did. Why does it look like it benefited the new corporation of the US? Because it did. Because it did. No, you're not just 5 minutes behind, Shred. You got to watch from the beginning. And if you're watching from the beginning, then you can't comment because we're like way ahead of the beginning. So I'm not going to know that. I'm going to think you're not listening. Okay. So it says, why it looks like it benefited the new corporation of the US? Because it did. The early United States was essentially an economic project. Listen to this. Pay attention. That's why they're so good at their legal stuff and they're making money. And okay, listen. Run by merchant elites. Who are the real revolutionary heroes? You guys are going to see a lot of those with crypto Jews, crypto Muslims. Like, trust me. You already know who signed the Declaration of Independence and their background, right? Structured around property and trade. Pushing an expansionist agenda. That was what the United States, who they are protecting in this treaty, right? That's what we're talking about. Peace and friendship with this entity, this now sovereign entity, because it got recognized by Morocco. So the early United States was essentially, it says the treaty reinforced U.S. commercial capitalism. That's not a good thing. I mean, it sounds good. Oh yeah, we got all the money in the world. Yeah, we're the best country. See, their capitalism doesn't include you. Their capitalism don't include you, bro. Okay, it never did. Protection of overseas assets. The federal government centralized authority. All right, that's what it reinforced. The federal government centralized authority. The corporations centralized authority. Indigenous nations were outside of and often in the way of. Okay, indigenous nations weren't having none of this stuff. They didn't want to make no treaties with Morocco. That's what you guys don't understand. That's why I got so much love and respect for people like Drop 42 the Drop, because he keeps it real. At least he just says more and more war, right? He's not just saying, oh, black folks are the same, oh, black folks are the same. Even though it's hard to stay away from that because, you know, you want to boost your own people up. And, you know, you look like the enemy. You don't realize you look like the enemy. You have the same look and color as the enemy and you don't realize it. That's what I'm trying to show you. That's what Droppy's saying, a more and more war. While they were doing treaties, they were genociding others. So while some are making treaties, others are being killed. Others are being enslaved. Others are being relocated. Others are being reclassified, paper genocide. Others are being called slaves or being called Africans now. They're not protected under this treaty. It's the simplest thing to understand about today's lesson and point. If you want to continue to use this to try to debate me, it's like so damn silly, man. It's so damn silly, man. Like I'm telling you, man. Hold up, guys. Hold down, because I want to just read before I go. A little comment I got. Little comment. All right, hold up. So it says, if you like, I can go deeper into a line-by-line breakdown of treaty clauses and their implications, how U.S. treaties with indigenous nations differed from U.S. treaties with foreign nations, how early U.S. maritime commerce shaped colonial expansion, the geopolitical role Morocco played in relation to indigenous sovereignty. Wow. Let's go with that one, that last one. Let's go with that last one. While we do that, let me just look for the images. Okay. All right. Now, excuse me, you know, like, you know, sometimes I get up early in the morning and I'm reading comments. I'm like, man, I don't care what you think of me, man. Like, I'm not in the mood sometimes, you know, guys. I'm not really in the mood to like try to explain things to people, especially after 3 years, right? After 3 years, you just realize, you know, people choosing to just be ignorant and upset and troll, you know. So before we get to that, we had real quick, right? Look, this started 3 years ago. This is what I'm saying. Look, this started 3 years ago, right? Why? You might see me respond to a comment that's 3 years old or 4 years old because that's where I'm at. I was able to catch up all the way back to 3 years and I'm still going. I got to go all the way back to 8 years, right? These are all unresponded comments that were under other comments. So like if you made a comment under somebody else's comment, I probably never got a notification until now. YouTube Studio has an area where I can go look for those comments. So that's meant to catching up. So he said we have to act. So okay. So he says this in one of those videos where I'm talking about, you know, the Moorish signs and how it's a little biased. You know, I'm showing the history, right? So he feels a certain way. So he says we have to ask the question: were the Moors in Europa originally Moors from the Americas pre-so-called? Because we're talking about black Europeans in this video. This is why he was saying that. He's trying to, but basically it's like the people in my chat earlier, but wasn't Morocco here? But wasn't Turkey here? Like, start babbling. You guys start babbling. You have no real primary sources. You're like generalizing. You have no context. You're just talking and babbling. Okay, so we have to ask a question. So I was trying to be respectful. I said that would be a guess, right? In any extreme. One thing people tend to not realize is that they've been generalizing all their life. You guys been generalizing all your lives. Don't know when you're generalizing. Don't know when the point where you're really extremely generalizing. Right? So were the Moors in Europe originally Moors from the Americas? Okay, let me just read my comment. It says that would be a guess in any extreme. That's the point of this series. We got to stop generalizing. Some were not. It's conjecture to try to say who exactly though. So if it's not absolutely clear, we got to stop judging others because everyone is on trial now. Because I know where he was going with this. Because I know exactly where he was going with this, right? Watch. Then he says, right? But yet the Maya were in Kemet, Cambodia, Hindustan, etc. Interesting. So he's like, Guys, what does that have to do with his first comment and my response? What does that have to do? I'm sometimes I feel like I'm just going crazy. Like, what the hell? Like, what does that have to do with what we're talking about? I know what he means. He's trying to say, well, you try to put Mayas everywhere. You're trying to put Mayas everywhere. How come Moors can't be everywhere, right? That's what he really means. I know what he really means. And he's saying Moors, like, come on. All right. So 8 days ago, I said, and I kept it respectful still. I said, yeah, specific people like the Maya, right? With a historical name that can be traced to a specific people, not just a generalized tag like Moor. All right. I'm keeping it real with him. He didn't like that. He didn't like that. I'm going to show you. This is what he responded to me 14 hours ago, right? Look what he responded me with. Kurimeo, the Treaty of Peace and Friendship mentions citizens of the United States and more subjects of the Empire of Morocco, aka the Almorac Empire, aka nothing. It doesn't say aka nothing. That's what I'm trying to tell you. We don't add or take away from that treaty. It doesn't say nothing about no aka Almorac, nothing. And when they're talking about Moors, they didn't mean black folks, like how he's taking it. You see what I'm telling you? You see what I'm saying, guys? Even today, I still get people to try. They're just salty. This guy's just babbling. At this point, he's just babbling and salty. He's trying to pull out whatever he can that's historical, that he thinks is going to debunk what I'm trying to say, make him understand that Moor is a tag. It's not like really like, come on, man. It has so many different definitions. And in this treaty, it doesn't mean black folks in the Americas. It doesn't mean his Drew Ali Almorac Empire. No, it doesn't mean that. It was specifically talking about Moroccans. Okay? You see how this guy's using it all wrong? The treaty? And I just showed you the benefits of the treaty. How did it help American Indians? So why is he bringing this up? This is what I'm saying, guys. He's already 2 times he went off subject. Now he's really babbling. It had nothing to do with what I'm talking about. What does this treaty have to do with what I'm talking about? Make it make sense. Hey, listen, Cyril Swing, I don't know what you're talking about, man. Guys, if you're going off topic, man, like, I don't know what you're talking about. I can't answer off topic, so I don't know what you're talking about. So anyways, he got mad, right? He told me, hey, check out the treaty. I don't even know why, right? Because I already knew. I've read the treaty many times. I'm like, what the fuck does that have to do with anything? How does it benefit you or this argument at all? Like, guys just start babbling stuff. You don't see how you just start babbling stuff. He says, you are the one generalizing more. I'm generalizing, okay. The treaties clearly speak to the nationals of Almorac as Moors, to the nationals of Almorac. It didn't say nothing about Almorac, and it was talking about Morocco and the United States government, the subjects of the United States government. And again, the ChatGPT clearly told us they meant the merchant class and government officials, not the Indians. So Almorac means shit to me. What the hell is Almorac as the nationals of Almorac? That's fake. That's not a real thing. Nationals of Almorac, that's not a real thing. Stop babbling. You guys literally trying to debate me and talk to me. It's really not a debate. I could have just deleted you. I could have just deleted his comment 3 years ago, the original one, but I was trying to make him understand something because he's trying to be subliminal. You come in here all salty. You're not listening. You're not. What does that have to do with what I'm showing in the video? He was so off topic, guys. It was something to do with black Europeans. It had nothing to do with Moors or Moorish signs. I don't remember. It had nothing to do with black Europeans. Okay? Let me see if I can. I'm going to just read my response to him, right? This was earlier today. So it says, when people are emotional and biased, like you, not scholarly, they react like you. That's what you guys all doing. All your Moorish signs brothers, that's all you guys are doing. Being so emotional, coming. And you guys start babbling. You're not really debating. You're not realizing there is no debate here. The facts are the facts, and what you're interpreting and saying is not in the treaty at all. And it didn't benefit the American Indians at all. It was actually worse for the American Indians. A treaty with Morocco, a foreign country in Africa, not in America, and the corporation of the United States is what the treaty was about. It was not really for the original people. A European foreigner who has become a citizen, right? So what I'm doing is set an example. I'm saying, so any European foreigner who's now a U.S. citizen, or anyone ushering in the new colonial power benefits, but American Indians were not seen as citizens. You forget that part? Or a part of the corporation. They were in the way, like the thing said, they were in the way, right? Okay, hold on. Okay, sorry, I lost track. Okay, here we are. How the hell did that treaty really help the indigenous people of North America? That's what I'm really trying to ask you guys. Like, I don't want to listen. If you guys are gonna email me, see, man, like I recognize your image, man. It's you, dude. You're silly, bro. You're the one talking shit earlier. Look, bro, you're silly, bro. You got the same image, bro. You got the same image. You have another account, but you left the same image. Raphael Bay. You had Raphael something Bay earlier. Listen, man. If your email starts out with any hijack or any baby crying or any trying to debate what I'm trying to say today, that you're not listening, this is not a debate. I'm gonna just block you, man. I'm gonna just block you, man. You're this is what you guys do. You ignore when we're showing you facts. You blank it out. You ignore like we're not even showing something. Like we're not, like I'm just babbling out here, right now. He says, the other guy says, I mean, they even describe my consumers more. Show me the primary source. Show me the primary source. You're lying, man. I know you're lying because I know the primary source. You're misinterpreting and you're taking out the passage out of context. When they describe something looking Moorish, that doesn't mean the person's a Moor. Especially when it comes to Sephardic Jews and Muslim Moors from Spain and Portugal that was around Moorish style, Moorish looking things. So they're going to relate things looking Moorish. You don't have the source for that. You didn't really read the source, the primary source. Nah, I know your source you're talking about, man. It doesn't say none of him being a Moor. This is what I'm trying to tell you. You guys misinterpret everything. It becomes to the point where this is why I do this. It gets tiring for years listening to you guys. Always a new one. Because I already went over this with mad people before. We already debunked that shit. We showed the source. And you still want to talk about, oh, he said this. Stop lying. Just like you said, just like the person right here is telling me it says Al Morocco on the treaty. It doesn't say nine like that. It's talking about Morocco. Yeah, let's keep it respectful with them, Mr. Holy Divine. See, this is what I'm saying. I'm not trying to be like them. I'm trying to knock some sense into them so they can grow up and be mature about how to properly do research and stop being biased, not being a blind follower. Okay? Again, how did this benefit the indigenous people of America? How did this benefit the Mexica? If you want to talk about Moctezuma, how did that benefit the Mexica, the original Mexica? It says George Washington had mostly black European heritage, including Huguenot, who were Moors. So of course he's gonna do treaties with his people. That's what you're not realizing, man. George Washington doesn't represent indigenous people or all black folks just because he was black, or whatever you want to call him, more, whatever you want to call him. Not sure what was your point for bringing up that treaty. You Moorish science folk always bring up like if something special for the indigenous people when it didn't benefit them at all. They were recognizing the new colonial power and corporate government, not the people, silly. Usually, I would just block fools like you for getting all emotional and talking shit like you did, but I just wanted to remind you and other salty Moorish science brothers about real history and real context. Because y'all so biased and blind to reality. Don't respond anymore. They won't show up. You get no more time on my channel. Go away. You're a biased, emotional fool. That's what I think about all of you. That act just like this guy right here. You're not here for truth. You're here to push your beliefs. You're not really here for truth. You're here to push your movements, your agendas, your beliefs. You're a blind follower, repeating indoctrinated jargon. You're brainwashed, you're spelled, everything. You're just repeating it, and you never verified it. Morocco's recognition of U.S. helped stabilize an empire that displaced indigenous nations. Morocco was the first country to recognize the United States in 1777, long before most European powers
This was symbolically huge because the US was a fragile new state. It wasn't real, it wasn't legit, with uncertain survival. It might have not survived, guys. This is what I'm trying to explain to you. You want to over here, oh, act like it's a good thing. You want to act like it's a good thing. My meetings and magistrates, man, Raphael, get the hell out of here, man. Now I'm hiding this one, bro. I'm gonna hide your other one too, and I'm not reading your stupid email, man. Jeez, man. I don't care what you doing in court, man. I don't care what you doing in court, man. Law is law, man. It's not Moorish law. It's law is law. If you pass, you win certain cases and you lose certain cases, it's because of you played the law right and you said the right things that is lawful. Not because it's part of some treaty, man. Be quiet, man. That's not real. Don't stop lying, man. Stop lying, man. I'm talking about specific cases, specific things, not in general, man. Again, Morocco's recognition of the US helped stabilize an empire that displaced indigenous nations, okay? Because it was a fragile state. It wasn't even going to survive. What if it didn't survive? What if our people would have done better? What if we would have done better a lot sooner, guys? And we would have not had all this federal governments, federal banks, federal one world shit, right? International recognition strengthened its legitimacy. Legitimacy allowed the US to centralize political power. Why this matters for indigenous sovereignty? A recognized centralized United States could negotiate territorial expansion more confidently, mobilize a national military, and enforce federal Indian policy on a continental scale. You guys understand? That's what it really did. But this is the stuff our Moorish brothers never will want to talk about. Some real context and facts. Who did it really benefit? Indigenous nations were dealing with a rising consolidated US state rather than 13 loosely allied colonies prone to mutual disagreement. Okay? This was geopolitically disadvantageous for the native nations. There's no benefit. Morocco's treaty helped the United States enter global trade networks. The Treaty of Peace and Friendship protected U.S. ships in Moroccan waters and the wider Mediterranean. Again, when they're saying United States, they mean the corporation. Remember that, not the people. This allowed the young U.S. or the young corporation trade without paying high tribute, avoid ship seizures, build an economy tied to global commerce. That's why they are the superpower today. Who helped them do that? Yeah, this treaty, guys. Yeah, U.S. capitalism. This is the main ingredient. This was the last thing that helped them, literally, that pushed them to that. Our situation in today's world. Who runs the economy? The U.S. dollar and all this other stuff, right? This is why. That's not a good thing. Trust me, guys. It says why that matters for indigenous nations. A stronger U.S. economy meant more capital for land acquisition, often coerced, meaning they took land from the Indians. Funding for the U.S. Army, which was going after the Indians. Promotion of settler expansion across indigenous homelands. Oh, this is such a good thing. Yeah, this treaty is such a good thing. Look, Moorish Science Temple of America, official Moorish government entity. So what? Entity of the corporation. You're an entity under the corporation. That's what I'm trying to explain to you guys. Wake up. Oh, you want to use the Treaty of Peace and Friendship here, huh? You want to use that all in your thing, your teachings, right? Drew Ali taught you that, right? But it was just more capital for land acquisition. They just took indigenous homelands. Economic power became political, military power, which supported the Northwest Indian Wars. Listen, pay attention. This is a big part of all these hijacks and wars. Removal policies, frontier settlement, infrastructure pushing into native territories. So although Morocco had no intent to harm indigenous people, expanding U.S. economic strength indirectly enabled the machinery of indigenous dispossession. Yeah, right. Oh, you didn't intentionally do this, but then you were going to have access to all their resources. Oh, you knew, and you knew that was going to happen. So you mean you didn't know? Oh, I don't take, you knew. They knew exactly what they were doing when they were doing this treaty with this corporation. An empire doing a treaty with a corporation. not a country, guys. Our modern day governments are more like corporations. They're corporations. You are a social security. That is your file number. That is your account number. You are a subject of the corporation. Morocco's diplomatic recognition reinforced the European-style sovereignty model that the U.S. used against indigenous nations. It just made it more legal. The conquest, the manifest destiny, the conquest of this, what was it? The doctrine of discovery. It just made it more legit and it made it legal. It says Morocco recognized the United States as a sovereign nation state, not a collection of many sovereign nations, okay, which included indigenous polities with their own diplomacy, trade systems, and laws. They didn't include none of those nations. This strengthened the European model of sovereignty that the US adopted, okay? One territory, one unified government, right? One world order, one religion, right? Like they're doing in the Chazar land, the state of Chazar over there, right? They're trying to do the one world religion, the one government. It's not over, guys. That was one of the things. This treaty was one of the things that helped usher in the New World Order. Literally. Literally. Effects on indigenous sovereignty, right? So, or centralized power over all peoples inside borders, right? Effect on indigenous sovereignty. Indigenous nations had their own diplomatic protocols. Territorial sovereignty, international relation systems, like the Iroquois Confederacy, the Muskogee diplomacy, the Pueblo networks, etc. All that got thrown away because of this treaty. All that got thrown away if it didn't fit into the treaty that they just signed. You guys understand? But US leaders used European diplomatic recognition as proof that indigenous nations are domestic, dependent nations, not foreign nations. This logic later became embedded in the Marshall Trilogy, okay? The federal Indian law, removal policies, okay? They made it legal. Morocco, unknowingly, yeah, right, played a part in reinforcing a world order, like I just said. This was one of the things that helped usher in the New World Order. They literally, that the AI just throw it out there, right? Reinforcing a world order that excluded indigenous sovereignty. Morocco's position within the Muslim world affected US diplomacy and indirectly affected indigenous nations. Morocco was one of the major Muslim powers with control over important trade routes. By securing a treaty with Morocco, the US gained credibility with other North African states. North African, not American, opened doors to formal relations with the Ottoman Empire, Tripoli, Tunis, Algiers. Are these all our friends? Are these all our friends? Were these our friends at that time? This expanded the US global diplomatic reach far beyond its initial borders. How this affected indigenous nations. The broader the US diplomatic footprint grew, the more foreign investments and recognition it received. The stronger its internal cohesion became, the more confidently it expanded across indigenous land. The US was becoming an empire, and Morocco played a fundamental role in that diplomatic rise, okay? Thanks, Morocco. Thanks. Thanks, Treaty of Peace and Friendship. Like I said, did everybody have peace and friendship in 1780s? None of you guys could answer me that. None of you guys were quick enough. Morocco did not participate in the colonization of indigenous peoples. Oh, well, not directly. Not directly, but a lot of their people did. Personally, yes, a lot of Moroccans came as conquistadors and colonists. I've shown a lot of examples. Never, so they said they never colonized America. Sure, they didn't. Never claimed land in the Western Hemisphere. Sure, they didn't. Never made treaties with indigenous nations. Yeah, I mean, they did all this stuff. Had no intention to harm indigenous peoples, but in a different form, through individuals. In fact, Morocco had a long history of anti-imperial resistance against European encroachment, but the treaty's geopolitical consequences still mattered in North America. So was Morocco responsible for indigenous dispossession? They say no, but the geopolitical reality is Morocco helped the United States survive and integrate globally. Talking about the corporation, A stronger United States became a colonial empire. Indigenous nations bore the consequences. This is an indirect relationship, not a deliberate alliance against indigenous peoples. So it says, if you want, I can go further into a timeline showing how U.S. Morocco diplomacy overlaps with indigenous land laws. Wow. A breakdown of how the Marshall Trilogy codified the U.S. sovereignty over indigenous nations. Wow. These are all interesting topics, right? Like we can do videos on all this. A comparison of indigenous sovereignty versus European Islamic sovereignty concepts. How indigenous leaders at the time viewed international diplomacy. I'm gonna just go with the first one, right? Let's see what it says. For the dismount, all right? So Morocco recognizes the corporation, not the people, the corporation. That's one of the main points today, guys. You go leave out of here knowing you know what this means. You have all the context. You know who it benefits or who it doesn't benefit, what specifically was said and what was not said. So I don't, guys, you gotta be better than them. All right, you gotta practice what you learn here, and help others understand this part because they seem to be ignoring it purposefully or ignorantly. Morocco Action Honors Treaty. U.S. ships protected in Moroccan wars. Indigenous context. Northwest Indian Wars. From 1786 to 1795. Shawnee, Miami, Lenape, and others resist expansion. 1795 Treaty of Greenville forces massive land cessions in Ohio. Okay. 1795 to 1805 says Morocco Action maintains peaceful relations, sometimes mediates. Okay, so that's the Tripoli. It says indigenous contest. What does that do, right? There's peaceful relations with treaties with Tripoli, Tunis, Algiers. Indigenous context. Expansion into Cherokee, Muskogee Creek, and Choctaw territories intensifies. Settler population surge. Gotta have both sides of the story. As the U.S. became a recognized diplomatic actor worldwide, it increasingly treats indigenous nations as internal subjects rather than foreign nations. All right? So 1821, it continues during Monroe Doctrine era. U.S. context. U.S. declares the Western Hemisphere its sphere of influence. Indigenous context. Massive pressure on southeastern nations. Rising tensions lead to Cherokee removal. All right? 1823, Johnson versus McIntosh. It says Supreme Court ruled indigenous peoples cannot own land under U.S. law. And that was because of the treaty. Because of the treaty, guys. Indirectly. U.S. diplomacy. U.S. now fully recognized internationally, aided by its early treaties, including Morocco. So legitimacy plus court doctrine equals legal framework for removal. You understand the game? That's the game right there. That's the equation to the game they've been playing. 1830, Indian removal. So the 1830 Trail of Tears literally is linked to this treaty of peace and friendship, guys, believe it or not. You may not see it, you may not see how, but I'm showing you how, I've shown you how, it's telling you how. It was indirectly linked to everything after that happened, during their expansion. So the United States strong enough diplomatically to challenge foreign powers is now strong enough to forcibly remove native nations. Now it has an army, thanks to Morocco. 1840s, Western expansion manifests destiny, like I was saying earlier. U.S. context or the corporate context, annexation of Texas, war with Mexico, Oregon settlement, indigenous context, displacement of the Comanche, the Kiowa, the Apache, and the Plains nations. Buffalo slaughter begins accelerating. The buffalo slaughter. Buffalo slaughter. We gotta have all the context. It matters. This matters, guys. See, they don't want to put it, pile of bones. They don't want to give it to it. I gotta get specific. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Let me get specific. What you see in here, guys, is a mountain of buffalo heads. A mountain of buffalo heads. This is what they mean by the slaughter of the buffalo, right? Just like it says in Deuteronomy 28 what happened, right? And again, this was all allowed. This was all able to happen because of the Moroccan-American Treaty of Peace and Friendship. The expansionist movement, the manifest destiny, the conquest of the rest of the lands and the people was allowed, was easier to manifest, right? They manifested their destiny. Oh, I'm sure they surely did because of this Moroccan-American Treaty of Peace and Friendship. You got to have all the context. Morocco context. Morocco remains neutral, continues honoring the treaty. Okay. 1859, U.S. enters the era of reservation confinement. Great Plains Wars. Sioux, Cheyenne, Arapaho ram up. All right. So as every increase in U.S. foreign trade means more capital, more settlers, and more military capability. Guys, you understand how this affected the conquest of the reclassification, the movement, the relocation, the paper genocide of American Indians? Do you understand? I don't think you did. Because you want to be a Moorish science brother, but then you also want to be an Indian and you want to use treaties as you're like, it just don't make sense. Body bag for the illusion, man. That's what I'm saying. Shout out to Drop 2, man. More and more war, man. It's black on black crime. Yeah. Yeah. 1860s, 1870s. U.S. and Morocco action. Treaties continue to be reaffirmed. Diplomatic relations are stable. Indigenous context. Navajo long walk. It happened in 1864. The Lakota land seized after the Black Hills Gold Rush. The Northern Plain Wars. Final collapse of the buffalo populations. The U.S., now a global commercial and diplomatic power, treats indigenous sovereignty as fully subordinate. 1887, Dawes Act, allotment. Indigenous contest, massive loss of tribal lands, 90 million acres. Oh, my people, the Dawes Road is not a good thing either, guys. U.S. Morocco context, peaceful relations. U.S. consular commercial presence in Morocco grows. U.S. economic power is overwhelming. Indigenous nations are confined under federal policy. Now it's federal lands. Now you got to be stuck in. You see how it's happening? You see how it all started with this treaty? It all started with this treaty and with their creation and their recognition of being a sovereign entity. We're talking about the corporation, the newly formed government, not the people. 1900s, Morocco still independent, ally indigenous nations under U.S. control now. Morocco context, last decades before French colonization. Indigenous context. Children forced into boarding schools. Traditional government suppressed. Land base reduced by over 98% from pre-contact. Come on now, guys. That's like literally, you know what? They doing this. Oh, we left them 2%. Nah, man. That's literally zero, bro. That's literally 100%. I don't want to hear 98%. You know, that's literally 100%. Literally 2% off, right? You literally 100% of the land was lost, reduced because of this treaty eventually. By 1900, U.S. global diplomacy and indigenous dispossessions are complete parallel tracks, one rising as the other is crushed. Summary overlap. Morocco didn't cause indigenous land loss, but the U.S. became powerful at the same time. It secured diplomatic legitimacy from Morocco and other nations. Morocco's treaty helped legitimize the U.S. internationally, protect the corporation, right? Protect the corporation commerce, strengthen the corporation state and treasury, enable federal authority, right? A stronger corporation, more expansion, more indigenous land loss. This is the indirect, but undeniable. So I don't care after today, if you watch this whole video, you're more signed, you want to use this treaty still. If you have, like, how do you say that? Not the balls, but audacity? Or how do you say that? You have the balls to try to use this after knowing this, then we can see what side you're choosing. We see what side you're on. We see what side you're on. It's undeniable geopolitical connection, right? If you want, I can create a visual chart comparing both timelines. A map showing indigenous lands lost correlate with U.S. milestones. That's kind of cool map. Let me see that. Let me see that map. I thought he was gonna give it to me. He's gonna tell me to sign in. Let me see. Oh, it's actually giving me son. I can generate that map for you, but the system's telling me that you need to be logged in to chat GPT. You see? You see that? You see, I told you I'm not logged in, guys. I'm not. So it's not trying to please me. It does every day. It thinks I'm a new person. So it's not trying to just please me and tell me what I want to hear. Okay? So I just wanted you to see that. Once you're logged in, whatever. That's fine. I know you took 100% of the land. I already know you took 100% of the land. All right. So I told you, I mean, it wasn't short, 2-hour video, but I just had to make sure I got the point across. Is everything clear? Is everything clear? Like, can anybody after watching this video clearly say they don't know what this treaty is about, who it benefited, who it didn't benefit? Can you honestly, with a straight face, say that? Can you honestly, with a straight face, say that and continue to use this? With a straight face coming over here to my channel and use this like a mean sign, like you're debunking me, like you're using a primary source, like, so what, this is a historical thing, doesn't mean it was a good thing. So what, I can find a primary source on this treaty, that doesn't mean it's a good thing. How does it support your argument of what we were talking about? When you want to just make everything Moorish or Moors, we Moors, everything is Moors. But when we talk about real things like this, you want to, start babbling, talking about treaties and all this other stuff, when you don't even know the context of the treaty, or how bad this treaty was, literally for the whole world. Because now the same superpower, corporate superpower, because it has so much power, this is how it started. And it started that power against the American indigenous people. And then that same model, as we have learned in all my Chazar videos, is the same model they use for global expansion. Thank you, Morocco, for this peace and friendship, for giving this corporation so much power. And this franchising literally taking away sovereignty literally from the American people, the original American people. I don't know how else to literally say this. What else I have to show for y'all to stop being so biased and wake up and break out of those spells, man? Come on over to the truth. It's not about my side. It's about the truth. It's about not the Moorish side or my side. It's about truth. Truth is truth. It's not about agreement or disagreeing. It just is. Truth is truth. Facts are facts. Conjectures and beliefs are something else. You cannot add or take from this treaty. It's very clear who it benefits and who it didn't benefit. So you guys using this like it's a good thing makes no sense. And if you are using it like it's a good thing and you're going to run with it, then we know what side you're on. We see what side you choose and who you are, who you've been, who your ancestors were. Because you're carrying the same spirit and nature today. You're still going at the indigenous people. You're over here trying to debate me. Yeah. Hey, man, I hope you guys enjoyed it, though. It's things like this. I don't even have to. I shouldn't I didn't really think I had to do a video about this, but man, there's so many biases out there when it comes to history and master teachers, right? These so-called master teachers. Everybody's a master teacher. Nobody wants to be a master student. Nobody just wants to be a student and actually learn something instead of just being a master teacher without even actually running the marathon, without even having the experience of study or the research. No context. No context, man. Like we're in 2025, guys. We can't be blind followers. That's something we did back in the days, in the 80s, 70s, 60s, 1800s. Like, we can't do that. We're in a different time. It don't work like that anymore. You can't go off the same repeated indoctrination as your rebuttals every time you come to me, because you're just making yourself look like a fool, and you're just gonna upset yourself and get emotional. You're gonna get disrespectful, and then you're gonna get blocked. You didn't go nowhere. You didn't go nowhere, man. But those, Atlekale, you said something earlier that came from a master teacher that I said, hey, why? No, that doesn't mean, I'm just being real with you. And you repeated something a so-called master teacher told you, right? That's the only way I said something to you earlier, but that's what I'm saying. Like, you guys got your master teachers, and you're like, you worship them. You guys got your master teachers, and you worship them like they're gods, and they literally portray themselves like gods. They literally even came out of their mouth, literally came out of their mouth like these self-proclaimed messiahs, right? And that's what you're going with. That's what you're going with. Well, anyways, I hope it was clear. I'm probably gonna upload a video later on today. I'm gonna upload another. You guys like those old documentaries? I got a lot more. I hope you guys like those old documentaries that are like not on YouTube or TV or whatever. Let me know because I got another one. Let me know if you like those. I got another one on ancient Americans. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Things they find, diggings, excavations that we don't really hear specific things they found or things they concluded. All right. Well, you guys seems like you guys understood, most of you. All right. This is gonna draw a lot of hate. You guys already know this is gonna draw a lot of hate because haters are haters, right? Haters are always gonna hate. But real people recognize real. Real people recognize real, and real people know what research really is. It's not biased. Like, history is not biased. We are. People are. History is not biased. People are. Right? That's why I try to show sources for what I say so I don't look so biased, right? Well, I'm glad you guys enjoyed it because not everybody talks on the chat, but I know there's a lot of here came through. So thank you. Thank you for coming through. I'm gonna leave it there. We're gonna go out with we're gonna go out with a beat from the YouTube audio library, actually. It's called Trash. Trash. This treaty to me is trash. Trash. That's my take on this treaty. Appreciate you guys. Again, much love and respect. Pura vida, mi gente. Wow.